Hi, I'm Nicole Carroll, editor of the Arizona Republic and azcentral.com. With me is Phil Boas, our editorial page editor, and Mia Parrish, our president. We're here to talk about our endorsement for Arizona's U.S. Senate seat. This endorsement comes from the Republic's editorial board and not the news staff. The news staff is independent. After we share our endorsement, we'll come back and take questions from you, so please just ask them in the comments.
We interview candidates for major elections when possible. In this case, our interview was Monday night's debate. We held a debate between U.S. Senator John McCain and Representative Anne Kirkpatrick at ASU in partnership with Arizona PBS. That interview, combined with years of watching these candidates, led us to this endorsement.
In a time when America's security grows more precarious, when immigration reform remains a priority for Arizona, when drought and wildfire are looming challenges to confront, the Arizona Republic Editorial Board believes John McCain is the best prepared and most proven candidate to take on these issues.
A few just to get things started. So Phil, let's get to the big one, Trump. How did McCain's actions toward Trump affect this endorsement and the decision?
Well, McCain took a lot of criticism for being slow to disavow himself from Donald Trump. But when you look at the record, McCain has been a fierce critic of Trump all the way through. We looked at a half dozen times when Trump said something wild, and McCain was out front and really giving it to him. So he has not sat on his hands when it comes to Donald Trump.
And we've got some video that shows that right here.
I spoke out strongly on several other issues where I thought that Mr. Trump was absolutely wrong. I've not been shy about it. The son of the Khan family, a man who literally sacrificed his life to save others as he approached an IED. All of those things I thought were very wrong. But then when Mr. Trump attacks women and demeans the women in our nation and in our society, that is a point where I just have to part company.
It comes from Aaron Randall. He says it's time for new blood. So, Mia, there has been some criticism that perhaps McCain has been there too long. What do you say about that?
We felt strongly that in this case, his experience really is a plus. He has been at the forefront of issues that are of vital importance both to our nation and to Arizona. The national security experience that he has was absolutely critical in our decision-making process. He was a very early proponent or opponent of our passive approach to Syria. He was a proponent of the surge in Iraq that proved to be absolutely correct. And no small feat, he has stood up to Putin and called him a thug and a murderer, which he's proven to be correct as well.
And Phil, talk about Arizona. McCain's well known, obviously, on the national and international stage. Talk about what he brings to Arizona.
Well, I can think of no issue more important to Arizona than immigration. Immigration is a local issue in Arizona because we're a border state. There has been nobody in the United States Senate who has led as well on immigration as John McCain. He was the spearhead, as we said, of the Gang of Eight. And that was really a credible, decent way of doing immigration reform, decent in the sense that it was humane. It understood that we needed a strong border and a more secure border, but it also understood that we needed to deal with the 11 million illegal immigrants that are in the country.
Speaking of Arizona issues, we've got another video of McCain in his own words.
Two issues that determine the future of the state of Arizona. fire and water, fire and water. 20% of our national forests have been consumed by forests in the last 10 years. We need to thin our forests. We're going to have to make some tough decisions on water. And I'm glad to work with Congresswoman Kirkpatrick and anybody else, and with our governor and others. We have to work together because the issue is going to determine the future of our children and our grandchildren.
Another big issue for Arizona, of course, has been the VA hospital and the issues there. Can you talk about McCain's role there, Phil?
Well, we think McCain came up with one of the best ideas for dealing with what ails the VA. The VA is an old problem. It's been dysfunctional for many years. And McCain has really led an insurgency to try and privatize parts of the VA with his choice card, which would allow veterans to get care in the private sector that is faster and higher quality. It really is a great idea, and he was behind it. So, and that is another local issue for Arizona. We were the epicenter of that crisis.
Absolutely. Speaking of issues that are national and very, very local, immigration. Mia, you talked a bit about that, Phil, but can you talk, we feel very strongly about this, and part of the reason for the endorsement is McCain's approach to immigration.
Right, absolutely. He has been at the forefront of this issue before it became a very serious national issue, and it is a local issue for us in a way that we face every single day. His experience, his knowledge, and the work that he's done on immigration has led the way. It hasn't always resulted in, we haven't always seen results, and in fact, I think I'll quote from our editorial that we will post later this evening. The most important issue facing Arizona the past decade has been immigration, and no Washington politician has led as well on this front as John McCain. He was the spearhead of the Gang of Eight that worked to reform immigration in a common sense way that would have secured the border while providing a necessary path to legalization for the 11 million undocumented people who live among us. That effort was blocked by House conservatives and proved to be the last credible legislation to get something done on the border. When a new administration is in place and immigration reform returns to the front burner, John McCain will be critical to that effort.
Just looking through our comments here, William talks about the need for term limits. Phil, do you have any thoughts on term limits?
Well,
we have thoughts on term limits.
Yeah, I think John McCain is the counter argument to term limits. John McCain has become the Rock of Gibraltar in the United States Senate. He's one of the most important men in the world. And when he talks, people listen because they care what he thinks about, because he has enormous experience. He's been involved in the big policy debates of the last 3 decades. So you want people with that kind of experience who've been there in real time when tough decisions have to be made.
You also want people who are part of the continuum of decision making, who have known what it's like to collaborate, to debate, and to follow through and actually get things done. He has the ability to help Arizona, and that was really important to us as well.
Excellent. Please keep your comments coming throughout the evening. We'll go in and do our best to answer them. The endorsement is up live now, so you can take a look at it and give us your thoughts. We appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.